this oven, at 1,000 degrees centigrade, memories for IBM computers are being formed. The process, called semiconductor technology, is among the most complex and sophisticated in industry today. Some people are surprised that this technology flourishes in rural Vermont. We've been asked why. This film is our answer. People make it happen. In 1956, the Greater Burlington Industrial Corporation was looking for an industry to lease a small building it had constructed on a cow pasture in Essex Junction. In January of 1957, the International Business Machines Corporation announced it would lease the building to manufacture a piece of electrical hardware called the wire contact relay. When job interviews began, the personnel office consisted of a few tables and some chairs rented from a funeral home. More than 300 people applied for work the very first day. George Dunbar, one of the managers at the Essex Junction location, was determined to work for IBM in Essex when it opened. He came from Windsor, Vermont.
Well, I think I came up, it was at least 6 times and possibly 7, and finally they hired me. I'm not sure whether they hired me to get rid of me or they hired me because they had a job, but in either case, I'm very happy. Well, just about 3 months after the plant opened, I was hired, and, well, like any new plant, they were a little hectic. We had a lot of equipment to put in and a lot of new people, but we got to know each other. And the plant was working on this wire contact relay at the time, and in the process of moving in more equipment and some automated equipment so that hopefully with automated equipment and things like that we could take some cost out of the relay, which I think we finally did. And from there we added the SMS card, or part of that, for the Burlington work. And in 1963, as you probably know, we had the mission to make SLT product here. And it seems like from that time till now the plant has just sort of exploded.
In the 1960s, the computer revolution began. The small Essex Junction site was chosen to manufacture a new, complicated computer component. It was called Solid Logic Technology, known as SLT, one of the basic building blocks of a total family of new computers called the IBM System 360. As its responsibilities grew, the original site doubled and tripled in size and manpower. So for nearly 20 years, computer technology has been growing and in fact flourishing in Vermont. Vermont is a place of extreme change. With a background in this demanding environment, Vermont's people are determined, hardworking, resourceful, craftsmen.
I lug milk, I help feed the cows the corn, the grain, help, clean up ever since I was young enough to come out to the barn. We have cattle-wise, we've got, we'll say about 45 cows, and I've always done it through my whole life. Of course, now the younger ones are helping out, the younger brothers, and so it gives me a little more time, away from the dairy a little bit.
Arlene Durkee was born and raised on this family farm. Getting away from the dairy a little bit, for her, is a full-time job at IBM.
It's quite a challenge, and the money is good. Our benefits are fantastic.
To get to IBM, Arlene drives an hour each way from Highgate Center near the Canadian border.
And I would prefer, really the 2 hours, because it's a small town. Everyone seems to be so much closer. It's more of a relationship between people from the farm, which is, you would consider it as a dirty, to a clean area as a photoresist. I think there is a great big difference. It's a completely different world.
Arlene's work area, called photoresist, is a completely different world, one carefully designed to meet the demands of computer memory manufacturing. Since the manufacturing processes are something like photography, yellow lights are necessary. The product is so small that to work on it, television cameras are directed through microscopes, and the people working here actually see what they are doing by watching a television screen which carries the magnified image. Because the product is microscopic in size, dirt is one of its greatest enemies. People working in these rooms wear white gowns over their regular clothing, so no dirt or lint will be brought in. Men wear beard or mustache covers.
We will be checking them underneath this light for foreign material. I am using a vacuum pencil to pick up the wafers from the back side. This is a wafer before a mask is put on, and this is the mask that I will be using to expose my lot.
Like photography, the manufacturing process involves using a negative, called a mask, to transfer a pattern to a material sensitive to light.
With my mask over it.
Instead of using photographic paper, the pattern is transferred to a wafer sliced from a pure crystal of silicon.
This here will put a pattern onto my plain silicon wafer. This wafer has seen the first level exposure.
An acid solution cleans the wafers after they have been exposed to light and prepares them for the next manufacturing step. Boxes containing the sealed wafers travel from one work area to another through airtight pass-throughs. In this diffusion area, electrically active elements, such as boron or phosphorus, are driven into the patterns on the wafers by temperatures as high as 1,000 degrees centigrade. Over and over, the wafer goes back to the photoresist area to receive another mask and surface layer preparation. These mask patterns show the way the chip and all the chips on the wafer are being built up. Each layer must be precisely aligned over the previous one. These are some of the mask patterns we saw Arlene aligning in her photoresist area. All these layers will produce about 250,000 complete circuits on each wafer. In evaporation, the wafers are coated with a pattern of aluminum which connects the circuits just as a house would be wired. Except for a final insulating layer of glass, the wafer is now finished. Each wafer is diced up into more than 100 chips. Each chip may contain several thousand memory cells, or bits as they are called, so small they must be viewed under a microscope. This is one chip containing 2,000 separate memory cells. A chip placement machine puts 2 chips on a ceramic base. The bases are then stacked, encapsulated, sealed, and ready to go into a computer.
There are 2 chips on the top surface and 2 chips on the bottom surface, making 4,000 bits on a module. These modules, which are Burlington product, are put in these systems. And here's
Shalom Lewin works in the product assurance area, which is responsible for guaranteeing the reliability of our memory devices.
Right here is the memory. Okay? The modules are mounted on cards. In this particular case, there are 18 modules on the card.
When the memory modules leave Burlington, they are put into IBM's newest computers. Sometimes they come back to Burlington, as in the case of this computer at the Medical Center Hospital.
My son is having an asthma attack.
Has he been here before?
Yes, he has.
Do you have his card?
No, I don't.
What's his name?
It's Bernard Nelson Hardway.
Wick, is it?
Hardway.
In case of an emergency, Nelson's record can be quickly recalled from the computer's memory. The information the hospital needs on Nelson is translated into 12,000 bits, or about 3 modules of 4,000 bits apiece. Because a computer is a tool that allows man to analyze and manage vast amounts of information, our complicated world is making increased demands for computers that are faster, less expensive, larger, and easier to use. The people at IBM and Essex Junction are pushing at the frontiers of technology to develop computer memories that are equal to the job they will be asked to do in the next decade.
I can envision that the future technology would have one chip about the same size, which would have the same equivalent 72,000 bits, maybe even more. That only assumes if you stay with silicon technology, which this is all based on. But there are other technologies. There are the bubble memory technology, which uses magnetic memory. Or there are the Josephson devices, which in that case, it will not look at all like that, since that has to be at cryogenic temperatures. Very, very cold, so you'll probably be able to see nothing. This particular system, where I took the card from, is being used to evaluate some of those future memories.
Computers are also being used to design future memories.
As you can see, Right over here, he's designing one of the masks. You're designing basically one mask at a time, and then you superpose one on top of the other. If you'll notice now the structure suddenly looks much more complex. That is because he's superposing 5 different masks to see whether the parts that he has line up with respect to each other.
The circuits, or memory bits, are designed with a light pen that can draw on the screen of a computer terminal, which looks like a television set.
I subject them to extremes that you wouldn't believe. I put them up to 150 degrees C. I test them at minus 60 degrees C. I drop them. I don't jump on them, but I drop things on them. Okay, I put them under various, what's called hostile environments, like equivalents of steel factories, out on the floor in a steel factory. And we do tend every once in a while, after very hard-breaking work, to throw it out, because it just cannot be made to last long enough so that both IBM and the customer are happy. This particular memory, which is 1,024 bits per chip memory, I evaluated a few years ago. Therefore, I think it's a very good memory.
Determination, hard work, resourcefulness, craftsmanship, perhaps they are all the products of an environment like this. The harsh side of Vermont demands the best an individual has to offer and extracts a price for failure. But the other side of Vermont can provide an outlet that sweeps away the daily challenges and provides a renewal of spirit and energy. Yes, work is important, but sometimes it is more important to get away and enjoy life. And Vermont has rewards like few other places in the world. That, too, is an important reason for the success of IBM in Essex Junction. Vermonters guard this heritage, understanding how small and fragile the state is.
This past year, I was appointed to a special land use study committee, which is very important in the state of Vermont because we are, I like to think, a very unique state, which is open spaces and free to roam around. And we did come up with a piece of legislation which we feel will meet.
This is Dick Allard of Production Control. For 2 years, he has gone on leave to serve in the Vermont legislature. He is one of hundreds of IBM employees who devote part of their time to government or social service activities ranging from rescue squads to planning commissions.
You can't please all of the people all of the time.
Oh, I have. In every situation, I've got back with the managers. And what he's hearing, which is nothing unusual, is one side of the coin. There's 2 sides usually. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I don't know.
And men like George Dunbar, as determined as ever,
Well, we won that battle anyway.
are also using their abilities to get things done in projects outside of IBM. For example, George was instrumental in establishing the Burlington Area Hockey Association. This youth league depends on volunteer help, and George has raised more than 70% of the volunteers from within IBM.
Probably totally there's about 100 coaches required for the area program. Maybe 20 officials, plus all the administration that goes on, and there's no one today in any of these programs paid, and that's intriguing. In the smallest youth program, the boys start skating at 4:30 in the morning, which means that they want them there 15 minutes before that to get their skates on, which means in some cases parents are getting up at 3:30. But several parents tell me that when they first start, they get so excited they go to bed with the whole uniform on except the skate, ready to come in. They're all going to skate equal time. We don't care how good or bad they are, they're still going to skate. And we get a lot of support with this philosophy, and we don't intend to change it.
So to get back to our original question, why does this technology flourish in rural Vermont? People make it happen.
Well, I worked with youth programs because youth has to have somebody to run these programs. And I think you can teach something in sports that are very applicable here in the business, that can be competitive, you have to work hard, and you have to have fair play. And that's all here. That's IBM.